wow, the echo in here. I don't know how well it's gonna work filming in this room. Let me open the door and see if that helps with the echo. Maybe it's not as bad. So I figured I would film out here. This is the room that my dad's been working on to finish, and he's finally got the majority of it done. He's going to build a bookcase on the opposite wall. For the most part, this room is ready to put stuff in, and it's like twice the size of my bedroom. Mosquito bitch flew. This would be, I guess you could consider it a real talk with Rebecca. I am sitting on a pillow. There's many reasons for that. I've had people ask me to film about fibromyalgia for a while now. I have quite a few books on the topic. It is a condition I'm very well versed on and familiar with, and I don't want to draw this video out. I will be splitting this up into parts. So this, I guess you could consider it to be an introductory video, just touching on some of the basics and things like that. What is fibromyalgia? Fibromyalgia is a neurological condition. Some people consider it a musculoskeletal condition. Skeeter. One last one in there. It's a very strange disorder. Some people call it a disorder, some people call it a disease. Some doctors don't know what the hell to call it, to be honest. Fibromyalgia is something where your body basically attacks itself on a regular basis. Our immune system is compromised with the condition. It causes probably the strangest symptoms of all, and it mimics other diseases, so it's hard to pinpoint. You can't do a blood test to test for it. You can't, other than a pressure point test, there's no legit testing for it because they don't know how it works. They don't know how people develop it. They don't know why certain people get it and some people don't. They don't know why. Usually it affects older people and not younger people, and the people that are younger that get it usually have a more severe case than people that are older. It's a very, very strange condition. I've had it since I was 18. When I was going through some really strange health things while I was pregnant with my daughter. And the doctor couldn't figure out why some things were odd and some things were not, they just didn't seem right. So they sent me to a couple of people, and then, because I was pregnant, they couldn't do a whole lot of things like an MRI or CAT scan or, they couldn't do that kind of stuff because I was pregnant. So I had to wait till I was done being pregnant to go through pokes and prods and everything else. Blood work came back, and they tested me for lupus and Crohn's and MS, and that's stuff they can do blood work for. But for fibromyalgia, they can't, until I finally had one guy suggest this one doctor, and I saw him. And he had been working with other doctors trying to pinpoint what this was. They first started talking about the disease in the late 80s, early 90s, but a lot of the doctors and stuff, they brushed it off kind of like bipolar disorder, where bipolar disorder also mimics other conditions, so it's hard to pinpoint that mental disorder. Now, of course, it's in the diagnostic tools and stuff that they have now. So if you open a Tabor's and you look up bipolar, you're going to have all the different types of it, the forms of it, the whatever. But with fibromyalgia, doctors were like, that's not real. Or because from one person to the next, it was different for everybody, it was hard for them to pinpoint that one thing that made them all the same, so that they couldn't really label this disorder until they found enough people with the same common ailments in order to do a test theory on. When I was first diagnosed, my doctor had actually been working on a research paper for the guy who initially discovered the disorder, and he had several books and papers and stuff that this guy had written. And I actually have one of his books. And it was strange because I would stub my toe and my back would burn. Literally, it felt like, have you ever sat in the sun too long with your back facing the sun, or sat next to a fire, at a bonfire or whatever, and you kind of have to turn and shift because you've been exposed to the fire in that one position too long and you're too hot, so you move to cool that area off. That's how it feels. It causes weird swelling, pain. There are days in which just doing this is probably the most painful thing I could ever imagine. It's very strange. The disorder, like I said, it affects people differently. If you're younger and if you are under 25 and you get the disorder, you usually have a more severe form of it than, say, you're 65 and you get it. It's more common for people 65 and older to get fibromyalgia than it is for younger people to get it. They claim some of the common factors of people that have fibromyalgia get it because of some sort of post-traumatic stress disorder. Usually, and this is in most cases, but not all cases, it's based on sexual trauma. So people like me who have had molestation in their past or have been sexually abused in some way or the other are more likely to develop this condition than somebody who hasn't. It also manifests in people that work around heavy chemicals, or that they work with heavy chemicals and or stand on concrete for long, extended periods of time. And I kind of had all three of those. I worked in a salon. I started working in a salon at 17. So I was exposed to chemicals. I would stand for 8 to 12 hours a day on a concrete floor. Some salons had mats, most salons didn't, because you would trip over them, or customers would trip over them, and they would just say, screw it, they'd remove your mat. So you had no extra cushion to stand on, so you had to have really good shoes. And of course I have, 10 years of sexual trauma in my past as well, and I still have issues with that to this very day, and I'm almost 40. So, I know from personal experience that there are many factors that could cause fibromyalgia that kind of led to me getting it. I also have scoliosis. Didn't know that. And when in school they test you and whatnot, they just kind of flip up your shirt and have you bend over and look at your back. Well, needless to say, the person who did that to me in 7th grade either didn't have their glasses on or something, because you could visibly see the curvature in my spine with me standing straight. Because my back sinks in right about here on the opposite side of my belly button, and it sinks in, and you can watch it do an S starting opposite my belly button and my back. And I also have curvature in between my shoulder blades that go up to my neck. I also have 2.5 extra vertebrae in my back, so I got extra parts. So that also kind of helps encourage the curvature on my back. So I already had other health conditions that kind of it was, and then of course my battery's flashing. It was one of those things that it made it easier for me to develop other conditions. What fibromyalgia feels like on a day-to-day basis changes from person to person, day to day, temperature, moisture level. Those things are also key factors. Like for me, there are some days that just standing in the shower with water on my skin, it's like somebody's stabbing me with a bunch of needles. There are days when I go to stand up and just standing, say I just woke up and my legs are fresh for the day and they haven't had any extra strain or nothing on them, and I didn't work hard the day before and I didn't do a whole lot, but I go to stand up and my legs are burning, lactic acid burning, where you exercise too much and you have lactic acid build up in the muscle and the muscle is fatigued. I have that. There are other days when just touching my skin is super sensitive. If somebody accidentally bumps me, it leaves a big old welt on me and it'll bruise. There are other days, like right now, it feels like I pulled my hip. I don't remember doing anything. I also get bruises in very strangest of places. I've got one in the middle of my thigh. I have no idea where it came from. It's this big around and it's right in the middle of my right thigh. It affects my back the most. The muscles of my back are weakened due to the scoliosis that I have. So I was doing physical therapy for a while after my first child was born. I did physical therapy as well as weight training therapy, and I did full therapy to try and build up the strength of the muscles in my back. And I'm not very limber. I'm also double jointed. I have what they call lax tendons. So I can do this all day, every day. I pop things out of joint inadvertently. Sometimes it's painful, sometimes it's not. I have dislocated many things and popped it right back in, and it's no problem. Other times I do it and it feels like somebody's hit me with a sledgehammer. So, fibromyalgia causes really strange swelling in some areas. One leg will be swollen, the other leg will be. It causes tingling, numbness, pain randomly throughout the body. So I can stub my toe today and 2 weeks from now have pain for it. Why? as the neuron receptors in my brain that misfire send the wrong signals places, and sometimes they're delayed. That's fine. They call it a neurological condition for many reasons. What it does is it takes the signal that your brain sends to your body. So like my finger touching my hand. So my brain registers that this finger is touching the center of this hand. But because I have fibromyalgia, my finger touching my hand, not only does it kind of tickle, but I can also feel it on like other parts of my body. So it's taking one thing and it's sending that touch signal to multiple places at one time. Sometimes I touch things and I can't feel what I'm touching. So like I do this and I don't feel this. I feel it here. And I'm like, I'm not touching my knee, I'm touching my hand. Why am I feeling it here? So that's another symptom of fibromyalgia. It also has a tendency to like send information besides sending it to the wrong location, but it sends it delayed. So if you're trying to like pick something up, just the action of, picking something up, when you go to do this, your hand doesn't know to close. So it's like having a stroke and trying to relearn how to grab things. When you have fibromyalgia, sometimes this action is not possible because your brain doesn't realize that your hand is touching something and it doesn't know to close over it to pick it up. So that's something else that fibromyalgia does. They say that foods that are high in acids and stuff like that, like cabbage, and there's quite a few things that they say not to eat because it causes inflammation. There's a lot of things that say not to eat red meat or pork because, again, it causes inflammation. Swelling is probably the biggest cause of pain that I can think of for my condition. There are a wide array of medications that you can take that help with the symptoms of fibromyalgia, but there are some that work and some that don't. Some of them have horrific side effects like hair loss, upset stomach, weight gain, weight loss, liver conditions, like it kills your liver. There are other ones that kill the lining of your stomach, so you take a pill that keeps you from getting indigestion and heartburn and upset stomach, and then you take another pill that repairs the lining of your stomach just because you took a pill to help with fibromyalgia. So some of the medications that they have on the market are not always the best. They also have some doctors will put you on a restrictive diet, and there's 40 things that they recommend that you not eat when you have fibromyalgia because it causes sleep disturbances, gas, swelling, lymph reactions, like your lymphatic system goes haywire. So even certain nuts, fruits, vegetables, meats, dairy, there's all kinds of things on the list of things that you shouldn't eat because it causes other issues. They also there's some people that recommend the Ayurvedic type diets or using a lot of turmeric in your diet. Turmeric is awesome for reducing inflammation. It works really good for your skin as well as internally. I know a lot of people that do teas made out of turmeric. I also have the vitamin supplements that are turmeric, and I find that they do help me. Not everybody is going to get along with it, so I wouldn't recommend starting off taking something that you're not used to. I recommend trying it first and then working from there. And I'll get into diets and exercise and medications in another part. I wanted to just leave this as an introduction. When it comes to exercise, depending on your body frame, your current medical conditions, your past medical conditions, and other extenuating circumstances, exercise for 3 to 5 times a day, but very, very minimal exercise. Very little cardio is recommended for people with fibromyalgia. I have a heart condition, so I'm not supposed to do more than 5 minutes of cardio a day, period, anyways, because I could have a heart attack and die again. The first one wasn't fun. I don't want to relive it. The main thing with fibromyalgia is stretching. Trying to make sure that you are limber, that you're worked out, and just simply just doing something as simple as this. That right there can help, but it's also painful to do that for me. Sometimes just doing this is excruciatingly painful. I can't, there's a lot of things I can't do anymore, especially with my hands, that I can't do because of pain in here, just from just doing this, I get pain here, and here. So fibromyalgia affects a lot of people differently. I have a very severe case of it. I have 16 out of 18 alleles, and what alleles are is the pressure point markers that doctors use to test whether or not you have fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia you will test for here, They test on the tops of the knees, behind the knees, right above the pelvis. They do on your back. They do your ankles. There's like pressure places, anywhere where they would do like a pulse place for your lymph, like your here, 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 here. I've even had doctors do stuff underneath here because we have lymph glands here as well. And for those that don't know, the lymphatic system actually sits in the lower part of your back. And my camera is like flashing at me. So what they do is they do cold, sharp, and dull. They usually they'll have, like my one doctor, he always had a pair of scissors and a Sharpie. The Sharpie was the dull, the scissors was the cold, and the sharp. So he would like stab you just a little bit with the pointy part of the scissors and to see if you could feel it, and then he'd set the blade down on like flat on your skin so you could feel the cold of it, and then he would take the Sharpie, the back end of the Sharpie, and just kind of run it in the area and see if you could feel it. Because I have 16 out of 18 markers, I have a very severe case of fibromyalgia. There are days in which just rolling over in bed is so painful, it takes the wind right out of me. I get fatigued really easy. There are other conditions that do piggyback with fibromyalgia, so people that have fibromyalgia are most likely going to have some form of restless leg syndrome, chronic fatigue syndrome, some sort of sleep disturbance, whether or not it is insomnia or the opposite, where you just kind of sleep too much. You basically become narcoleptic, where you're sitting doing something one minute and like passed out the next, because your body gets so exhausted so quickly that just doing the simplest of tasks wears you out. Like literally walking from here to the mailbox, which is, you know, a half an acre, 3/4 of an acre away from my front door, is enough for me to come back in the house and be wore out. And it's not that I don't have the endurance, it's not that I'm not fit enough to do that, it's that the condition that I have puts limitations on my body that I wish were not there. To be honest, there are people that I absolutely detest on this planet, and I would not wish this disease on anybody. This is probably one of the most horrific, untreatable, uncurable diseases that you could ever get. And I honestly, when I find out somebody has it, or that they just got diagnosed with it, my heart just cries for them, because it is such a horrible disease. I never know from 1 minute to the next, let alone day to day, if I'm going to be able to walk. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stand upright, or if I can take a shower because it's too painful. I don't know if I can wear certain clothes some days because the touch of fabric on my skin leaves bruises. I have random swelling that happens on the regular. Usually if I'm stand up and I look down and my knees are this big, and I know that I've got some swelling going on, and I don't eat high concentrations of salt. I usually have lack of appetite with it, especially with high amounts of pain. You are less hungry, at least in my case. The more pain I'm in, the less I eat. There are sometimes I'll go 2 or 3 days without eating anything because my pain is so bad, just the thought of food makes me want to vomit. So I'm a very severe case of it. I'm very severe. I know people that have had this disease 5-10 years that are nowhere near as bad as me. So, like I said in the beginning, everybody is different. Everybody fighting this disease is different. You are immune compromised, no matter what somebody believes. Because your immune system is constantly attacking itself, I can get sick at a drop of a hat, so I avoid everything. I'm not like a germaphobe, but I do make sure I wash my hands, especially if I'm going from room to room. I make sure my hands are washed. I make sure that I'm clean, my bedding is clean, the things that I use on the regular are clean. I'm super anal about keeping a spray bottle with alcohol mixed with tea tree nearby at all times, so that if I need to spray something down, I can. We use Clorox a lot in this house, even though I'm allergic to it. I still use it because I want things to be sanitary. I live in a house with 10 cats. I'm allergic to cats, and we have some very nasty cats in this house. Like the one cat, she's watching me right now through the window. She chews the pads on her feet and make it bloody and nasty, and she drags bloody footprints through the house, and it's disgusting. And I literally just want to dig a hole in the backyard, throw her in, and cover it back up, breathing or not. That's how I feel about that cat. She's mean, and she's awful, and she's been very unfriendly the entire time I've lived here. And my dad said that as she's gotten older, she's gotten worse. So I think she's just mental. The fact that she has chewed all the fur off of most of her body, and she chews the pads of all 4 of her feet, it's pretty disgusting. So I'm like really careful about what's clean and what isn't when I touch things, especially when it comes to like my makeup. I'm very anal about that as well. So I'm gonna end this here. I'm at like 25 minutes, 24 minutes, something like that. My camera battery's been flashing since like 8 minutes in. And hopefully the echo isn't too bad. It was just a test to see how well it worked in here. This is the only white wall that we have. Like this room here is the only room that we have that has light in the entire house. So yeah, I kind of want to steal it for my bedroom. But there's no air conditioner in it yet. I think it's way too hot in Florida not to have an air conditioner. Anyways, I'm Rebecca Oberstadt. I will be filming like other parts of this when I get time. Please understand that I have a disease that is incurable, that I live with every day, and from one day to the next, I don't know how I'm going to feel. And then I have other health conditions on top of that, which exacerbate my fibromyalgia. So if you guys have any ideas on what you would like me to cover first, whether it's exercise, diet, medications, herbal supplements, the do's and don'ts, the breakdowns, specific breakdowns of what causes it, what to look for, what the alleles are, where they are, what the markers mean, I can do topics on any of it. I studied this disease for the 22 years that I've had it. I've done a lot of research on it. I've got a lot of books on it. I am pretty well versed in it. I've gotten opinions from multiple doctors on what I have. And if I had medical insurance, I would see a physician for this. But my primary doctor for this disease retired in December of 2016, and he was amazing. And so far, all I found are douchebags and nobody to replace him. So it's hard to find a doctor who knows about the disease that is willing to sit down and talk with you and do your job and test you the right way, instead of just looking at what the other doctor said and being like, oh, I don't like what they did, so this is what I'm going to do. And I'm like, this is what works. We're not doing that. And then they're like, well, I don't care what you think. I'm a doctor. This is what we're going to do. So we'll get into that in another discussion. So hopefully you all are having a fantastic day or night wherever you are, and I will see you later. I'm going to go charge this now.